We're making kebabs.
Oh yes, chicken kabobs. He begins with a purple onion and begins by peeling it. He cuts it into halves and have-nots and then quarters. But then he begins to cry. Aerosine propane thiol oxide, his old friend. He cuts the quarters into eighths and begins placing them into a bowl, specifically a metal bowl. He arranges his peppers and puts them on display. Proceeds to cut them in half and remove their guts. These seeds can be planted or simply tossed away. After a quick rinse to remove all the remaining seeds, he brings them back to the cutting board. He cuts them into 1-inch pieces, violently. This piece has been spared. Now he begins to prepare his marinade. Copious amounts of olive oil and copious amounts of salt. He's making the dead olive oil sea. And of course, pepper. Garlic powder. And it's time for thyme. About a teaspoon. Places in the bowl and begins to mix. In order to ensure an even coating, he pours about half his vegetables in, and then the second half. Tossing and turning. Paper of the saran, his plastic wrap, his plastic enemy. He covers it, and this goes into the fridge for no less than an hour. Now comes the chicken. These chicken breasts tend to dry, but he prefers them over thighs because it's less gristle. And although recommended not to wash your chicken, these are particularly slimy. So he ensures that everything is clean and sterilized before and after. Or else that's how you get ants and salmonella. He begins by removing the gristle, all those nasty little bits that make it unpleasant. And much like the vegetables, he cuts them into 1-inch pieces. Then, using a clean cutting board because the other one is drying, he begins his marinade. More olive oil, more salt, lots of it. Of course, more black pepper, cayenne pepper, garlic powder, ginger, turmeric, and the special ingredient, cinnamon. He mixes, and the taste test. It needs more ginger, more salt, and more garlic powder. And it's perfect. He pours the marinade into the chicken, because that's what's all in the bowl. Then he pours some red wine vinegar into the oil, because we all know that oil and vinegar mix. He dons a glove and begins the mix. Again with the paper of the saran. He covers it well, cleans it to make sure it's sterile, and into the fridge for no less than an hour. These are wooden skewers. They're not ideal, so we will be using the metal skewers. These have a flat side which prevents the food from rotating. And they're much sturdier. After some time, he removes the chicken and dons another glove. He pokes and pushes. He does not combine the meats with the vegetables because of the different cooking times. This allows him better control over the cooking. He places the red cover to signal danger, salmonella, and sets it aside. Then he brings in the wooden skewers, not because he wants to, but because he ran out of the metal ones. He puts them in a dish and adds water. Too much water, but it'll suffice, and weighs them down with something heavy. This prevents them from floating. After 25 minutes, he comes back, removes the object, and removes the skewers. This prevents the skewers from burning completely when exposed to heat. As you can see, the food rolls and rotates. Dang. He alternates between the peppers and the onions. Why he's wearing a glove, nobody knows. As you can see, the wooden skewers are quite flimsy, so he decides to double up in an attempt to provide more stability. Once he's complete, he covers it in foil of the aluminums, grabs his chicken, and since he doesn't have a grill, he goes to bother his neighbor. Ding dong. Unfamiliar with the grill, he tries to turn it on. To no avail. Perplexed, he tries to figure out the flame. There it is. However, he still has trouble. After much turmoil, he figures this out and lets it heat. It must get hot. Medium hot. When it's ready, he oils a rag with olive oil and coats the grill. This will prevent the food from sticking. Since the vegetables will take longer to cook, he starts with them fast, one by one. That metal piece is not metal, so he gets rid of it. Careful. It's time to put the chicken. He periodically checks and rotates the food. And gets his tongue caught in the skewers. Once the vegetables are done, he removes them from the grill and allows the chicken to cook a little bit longer. Make sure to clean the grill for the next person because that's the proper thing to do. And back to the kitchen. In order to achieve a rustic feel, he pulls out his metal plate and, well, begins to plate. These can be eaten with a dipping sauce, beer, and of course corn. And that is how you make chicken kebabs on the grill with a random spice. This has been Blacktiekitchen. If you like this video, share, like, and subscribe. And until next time, eat well.
It's actually a lot harder than it looks. That's what she said.